You are now in the presence of a king.
All right. Welcome everybody. Good evening, everyone checking us out, coming in online. Welcome to another episode of the Blerds podcast. Happy May the 4th be with you. We're all ready. I've got my lightsaber. Calibus has got a shirt. And Mark is just Mark with his hat. Yeah, let's go. Show off your Star Wars love, gentlemen. Well, we are super glad everyone could join us tonight. Today is May the 4th. Be with you. So tonight we are going to talk. We're going to try to bring some positivity back into this Star Wars game. We're going to talk, reminisce, be a bit nostalgic. It's sometimes nostalgia is good. You know, a little rose tinted glasses never hurt nobody, right? Remembering the good old days. You know, not that all the old days were good, right? There were some jank parts of the old days, but we remember them fondly. We look upon the past with warmth and tenderness, and we laugh and joke about it. So tonight we're going to talk about some things, some of our favorite parts of Star Wars across all mediums. Not just the movies, comics, games, paraphernalia. We might have some fun stories, reminisce, talk about the impact in our lives and media and stuff like that. Because Star Wars it's a pretty huge IP, right? And it did a lot for cinema. It did a lot for entertainment. It did a lot for the narrative, you know, in families' homes and schools and comic book shops and everything in between. But first, before we get into that, we're going to do just a little bit of time. No longer, maybe 10, maybe 12 minutes. We're going to talk Thunderbolts. We're going to touch Marvel. We're not going to handle it. Look, sir, fix your face. Sir, fix your face. All right. No, just okay. It's okay. It's all right. This is a safe space for everybody. Yeah, so I went to go see it this weekend, and I wanted to, you know, just chat a little bit about it, right? And not too high, because I am one who I try to manage my expectations regarding all of this Marvel nonsense. And so yeah, so I'll start off by saying I did see it.
Mm-hmm.
I did like it. I didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still walked out of it kind of like meh, but not so pessimistic meh, because of mostly because of the last end credit scene, which we won't get into spoilers for anyone who hadn't seen it yet. Callus, I know you ain't seen it yet, or do you plan on going to see it? What's good?
I have a friend that does stuff for me and on the high seas, so I go into the high seas. I do not support the MC shoe in any way or form. It's monetary. I go to the high seas to get my entertainment.
Okay.
You know. But I will say this. Look, I will say this. I liked the new Captain America movie so much that I went out and bought a t-shirt and a hat. Okay. This is the first time that no one said anything about the cast being all white, and nobody said anything, because if this was all black cast, the first thing they would say, "Oh, where the white people at?" There's nothing. Nobody's saying nothing. Nothing. Not a peep. Nobody's saying anything. So I'm throwing it out there. I want to know what happened to the uproar. Where you know, we got to the point now. Guess what? We don't even care anymore. We just don't care. Nobody cares anymore. You know, this should have been the sentiment when Black Panther and all this other stuff came out. When Finn took off his helmet for the first time, and the world lost their mind. And I'm like, surely you don't think clones are still fighting as stormtroopers right now? But there was somebody always bringing up the race card, and I was just wondering how come no one's brought up the race card for Thunderbolts. I just find that odd. Then again, with orange people in powers of government, so I guess that's not too odd at this stage. You saying?
So I did see the movie yesterday as well.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting anything, so I wasn't disappointed with anything that I saw. And I did hear somebody say today that was something that I thought was an interesting take on it, which was that it's just DC's Suicide Squad. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, looking at it now, that is the Suicide Squad, but from the Marvel's point of view. And I thought that was a pretty interesting take when I heard that. So, yeah, I mean, it was still pretty good, you know, but yeah, it does in that aspect seem like a ripoff of Suicide Squad. So
now with that, this person who shall remain unnamed, which I'm gonna say that because I don't know who they were, and that's fine. Were they familiar that the Thunderbolts were their own team? Like,
oh yeah,
were they just a movie fan only and was like really liked Suicide Squad and then see Marvel's version of it and be like, oh, that's just rip off of DC? I'm like,
no, they just said they were asking that they do a good job of Suicide Squad, Marvel's take on it. But yeah, you know, it is its own character, just like Suicide Squad has been around for over 50 years. Thunderbolts is the same thing, but you know, DC did come out first, so that's why he said it compared to DC, because we saw their movies first, and now Marvel is doing that aspect of the story. So that's why he brought it up. But he, you know, he does do comic books, so he's not somebody that does not know the medium prior to what it came out to.
But isn't that kind of weird that, you know, you have those fans that are like the movie version of our fandom, right? And then there are those of us who have got the comics. We actually read the books, and you know, we've got the audio dramas, and we've been with these characters since we were, you know, 5 and 6 years old, and now we're in our Vincent's age, you know, 30s and 40s and 50s, right? And then these new guys come out of the woodwork because they saw this one movie and now they think they're experts or whatever. And they're like, this is how this movie is. You know, it was like when my son goes, well, Spider-Man, they took Spider-Man back to where he was supposed to be. He's supposed to be a little kid in high school. And I go, no, he's not. Like,
right. No,
no, he's not. I'm like, they did that for you, so you would have somebody to relate to. But no, he was a college kid. And what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, where are you getting information from? You know, I felt like a bad father, like I led my son down a bad road and he couldn't understand. I'm like, all these comics and all this stuff, sit down with me and talk to me about this stuff before you speak. Now you sound stupid. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, so, you know, it's no different than like just to bring in anime for a second, like people who read the manga vice the people who are anime only, you know, who only watch a show, and people be like, oh, you never read the manga? Well, in the manga, people are like, well, I like the show just fine. Well, the manga, they left all this, that, and the other out, and the stuff that they cut out, and they put it in the show. I'm like, but the show was fine for me, bro. Like, I understand what the problem is, you know, so.
I gotta be honest with you. I want to get into, I had a Japanese pen pal when I went to college, and she would send me tapes of stuff, and that's when I first saw Dragon Ball Z, but it was all in Japanese. 6 hours of Dragon Ball Z in Chinese. There is no subtitles,
right?
For a guy that's learning Japanese, okay. So she also sent the manga books, thick comics, you know, and it went,
you know, backwards. You got to read it back.
Right. So I'm looking at it, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm saying, so it must go this way. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow, pretty racy stuff. You know, I mean, you got to remember, I'm expecting this just to be kind of kid friendly. I'm in college, but I'm still expecting it to be whatever. But you know, no, this is Japanese culture, so this stuff is. But I kind of like that. We got a couple of the books out of Yester Toys, Chainsaw Man or something like that. But
yeah,
I, you know, again, like you, I don't know if that's a medium that I really want to get into. You know what I mean? But when Bubblegum Crisis came out, I grabbed anything Bubblegum Crisis and I went for it. Same with the Dirty Pair. I went and got their books. I went and got their mangas. So, you know, I guess that's one way to pull somebody over. You know, if they like it that much, they might do something else. Just like what we do with Star Wars, Star Trek, or Gundam. You know, you get that one taste of something. And I swear to you, I hate you for this, Paladin. Man, we got this thing in the other day. Oh, my God. This bad boy stands this tall. It had all these little pieces, and they were metal pieces, and they were plastic pieces.
Oh, my goodness.
And my man put $350 on it, and I said, I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah.
But it's tight. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
This thing, I mean, she was about, you know, I say she, but this robot was about this tall. And, you know, I've never seen anything that actually had the metal with everything else combined into it that just made it just like, oh, I want that. And when he said $350, I was like, no.
Yeah, no, ouch, my pockets. The economy, ouch.
Yeah, right?
All right. Yeah, so, all right, so we'll probably get into, I just wanted to touch on it for a minute. You know, I'm not going to dwell on it too long. Jury's still out.
But before you go with that, though, I did not think that it would be a bad movie. I just didn't think that it wouldn't do, you know, these ridiculous blockbuster numbers.
Yeah.
That everybody, now you have to make $1 billion for your movie to be successful. It's a little extreme.
Right. You know, it's, they got to be one-offs. I definitely think, I was watching someone's video earlier. They was talking about some article New York Times put out pretty recent that was saying that Marvel said they made a mistake with the amount of content they was putting out, and they was kind of going back to the drawing board, you know, and the guy who was reacting to the video was like, or was it all the woke stuff y'all was putting in the in the content and bad writing in general, which allowed the, you know, political stuff to get put in there and just nonsensical stuff to get put in there and agendas and things like that. So we'll see. You know, I'm like I said, I was hoping they tied this into Fantastic Four, which they did with the second post credit scene, which kind of spoiler for Fantastic Four for how it's going to end. But you know, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we Marvel or DC, as a comic book fan, I want them to do well. Now, do I want DC to be better? Of course I do. I'm a DC fan. But overall, I want them all to do well because that means we'll get more of this content. At one time, I remembered when we didn't have to pick this side, we could just say, "Ooh, the new superhero movie was coming out. Let's go see it." You know, when the originals came out, Blade, Spider-Man, we were all like, "Ooh, Spider-Man, ooh, Blade." We weren't comparing. And then, of course, for me, it was the fact that everybody was trolling DC like they had lost their damn mind. And I'm like, you guys are just getting on the board. You guys can have this decade if you want to. Because, again, we've been knocking it out since the 40s. You're just now getting here in the 2000s. And that's all due to Blade. But nobody seems to say that. So I'm sitting there going, y'all owe everything. Marvel owes everything to Blade. So, you know, you're on the board now. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, so you're on the board now. And after Endgame, you start shitting the bed again. Yeah. And then you blame us because, oh, well, you know, you guys are hating the movies. No, we're still going to watch your movies. They just suck. I'm sorry that they suck, but they're sucking. You need to do something to fix this. Well, you're a male chauvinist. Oh, you're a homophobe. Oh, you don't like women in power. Oh, you don't like a strong female lead. I love a woman that can kick ass, shoot people, hit somebody in the face, and keep going. I'd love to see a woman do that, but do it where it makes sense. I do not want to see a 120-pound woman take on a 300 muscle-bound dude and not break a nail. I don't give a damn if it's Captain Marvel or not. Don't do it because it's ridiculous.
Well, he's got to be accurate to the character. If Captain Marvel got a behind kick, that'd be like, that's not comic book.
So when Thanos was knocking her around, you thought that was a little bit too much?
No.
All right, then. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, it's Thanos she was fighting, though. If it was anyone else,
that's what I'm saying. Okay, but I'm still saying, if she's taking on a dude like she took on the Skrull dude, right? But what was it? It was all these men holding her back. Every man was downing. Come on, man. Do you honestly think I want to spend my $13 to $20 to hear some screen tell me how I'm holding women back?
Yeah. Now let's. We're going into it more than we was planning, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll go through it quickly. With this movie, I didn't feel that. Like, even though it was her movie, and that's cool, but the stuff that got into it, it was a little sad. I was like, and I'm okay with that kind of being like, oh man, it's
Are you talking about Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking what? Yeah, I agree. The movie was not that type of movie, and what I was looking at when I sat through it, I know we were talking about the difference between DC and Marvel. I was disappointed in, like I said, Century. They watered him down for this movie, and my wife said that, well, because they wanted to make it family friendly, and that's why he's not the Century from the comic books. He's the Century from the Disney vault that they wanted to put out. So he is nowhere near as powerful as he should be, where these non-powerful beings can take him out, and nobody else could do anything with him. So to me, that was my only fault with the movie, was how they portray some of the characters. So, and it's Marvel with everything. You have a really fantastic character, and then they dumb him down when they put him in a movie so that he's going to lose to whomever they're trying to make him fight against. Now, you brought up Captain Marvel. When she did her movie, she was such a badass. But then the second movie, The Marvels, when she goes up against this one girl, it takes 3 of them to beat her, who has nowhere near the same powers as Thanos, but they can't beat this one girl. And I was so angry about that part. So, yeah, I see that in every single movie.
Their powers were intertwined. That's how they weakened her.
She could weaken her by making her
use it whenever she wanted. If it didn't, it'd be no contest. No contest.
You're stretching
so
on that.
I like the Black Widow movie.
Yeah,
I thought that was really well done, and that they should have did that way before. And you know what I mean? Instead of like this callback to her, you know what I mean? Because I love that interacting with her sister. I love how you're such a poser. What is this thing you do? I love that. I thought that was great. I love the big Russian dad. When I saw him for the Thunderbolts, I was like, okay, I can deal with that. That's kind of cool. But I just don't. Again, this is you're plugging a leaking ship that's going down, and now you're throwing anything at it to hope it stays afloat long enough to you to get to Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom to save the franchise. Because I can tell you now, Fantastic Four is not going to save them.
No, probably not.
It's just not.
You know, and honestly, I left the theater thinking, and this is the last thing I'll say. I left the theater thinking, like, man, it would have been cool to see them build up to the Century. Like, Thunderbolt Ross actually is sponsoring that. Like, it's building up to the hero that's stronger than all the Avengers. Like this is the next big threat, but it's kind of like Civil War 2, maybe like a Civil War 2 event, like they did in the comics, except instead of Captain Marvel and Iron Man, it's like Thunderbolt Ross, his Avengers, and whatever Sam is trying to build up or whatever. I'm still fine with them going that path and like then the two clashing in like a Civil War 2 kind of event. I thought that would have been good. Then you could still do the multiverse stuff happening because that's cosmic, and in the comics, the cosmic stuff is always happening, and whatever's happening on Earth is happening on Earth until like what was the last thing with Annihilus and Ultron, and they was in the middle of Civil War when Nova came back to Earth, was like, what are y'all doing?
But
so
I'm kind of tired of the
headcanon.
multiverse.
Yeah,
I really, what I mean? It's like Deadpool said, it's lazy writing. You're just doing this because it's an easy out. Get back in there. Pick up some comic books. Stop listening to everybody telling you stop. Don't look into the comics. We don't want that. Yes, you do, because apparently you don't know what you're doing. Damn. I mean, you got Chat GBT. Throw that in there. Put your idea in there and let it tell you the story. I mean, give me something better than what you're giving me. I'm afraid for I'm afraid for DC because I see that they're trying to make this happy family ha ha he he movie, and then they're going to shift it and go super dark with Batman, and I'll be sitting there going, there's going to be a comedy scene in 5, 4, 3, 2, and there it is, and I'm going to be like, come on, man, you know what I mean? But I hope they do well. I hope they make more money than their budgets. I do. I don't want to sound like I'm a Debbie Downer and be like, oh, F Marvel, because it's not the case. I just don't think it's not these next two movies won't be $1 billion movies.
Right.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Any final thoughts, Mark? Are you good to move on to the fun stuff?
Good to move on. Yeah, we're good to move on. I said my piece. When it comes to that, I can say this. I can't wait for Superman to come out. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So I'll just go with that.
Yeah, we're all waiting with bated breath.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now, moving on to the happy good times. Star Wars. So let's touch real quick. Wait. Is that a fridge? Nice.
It's a little mini fridge.
Yeah. I got mine set up too.
Did you get yours set up?
Yeah. I was only able to get, I put bottles in it. So I can only get 2 bottles in it. So it's right on my desk. And I'm going to see how
that cognac, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I got the Batman fridge over here, but when I was in Ollie's, I saw it. They only had 3 of them left.
I need to go to Ollie's more.
Snooped them up. I was talking to Jim today, and I was like, "Yeah, you got that Han Solo and carbonite whole thing down there. I've already got 2 of them, but I always need an extra one just in case something goes wrong. I got that extra, spare piece to do whatever." He's like, "All right, we can do that too." So I have that set up. But I'm telling you, I was enjoying today. I'm at Yester Toys doing the sale. Marky Mark stopped by. We're blasting stuff out, and we had all these ships, Jedi fighters, and the little ones from Attack of the Clones. Those, and man, I miss that era of getting those toys with the the little 3-inch guys and putting them in your thing and you're flying around with them and all that other stuff. A couple of them sold. We had maybe 15 of them out there. 6 of them sold, and the rest just sat there. But everybody wanted loose figures, man. They wanted clone troopers, and they wanted one guy bought Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu, and the fighter, which they made purple. like his lightsaber, and I thought that was just a little bit too kind of spot on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not too.
Yeah.
But and then I met this guy, and he bought a 3D printed Star Destroyer.
It was amazing.
Nice.
Man, wow. Guys, I wanted you to see it, and I'm like, well, thank you for showing me this and making me super jealous, and now I need one. You know what I mean? But that was pretty much this was the first time that I never got. Well, we had it playing in the store, but I was outside the store. But this is the first time that normally, man, I go through episode 1 up to episode 6. And then I go straight into the Mandalorian. You know what I mean? And now this year I was like, oh, I could do Ahsoka. Yeah. Huh?
What happened to 7, 8, and 9?
There is no 7, 8, 9.
That's the game we're playing. I understand.
There is no 7 or 8, 9. No.
Look, so in terms of your favorite, so let's just start off the top. Favorite, we'll start with the movies, like movies and series. Like because we'll be here all night making a top 10 list. So your top two series that if you could like pop it on right now, or something you might pop on while you're cleaning or doing something else. What's your poison? What you going to? We'll start with Mark.
Okay. Well, now I'm gonna focus on what's on, so I can't do like put it on in the background.
Okay, then, whatever you're doing, Mark. Whatever you're doing, you're gonna lock in.
All right, so I'm gonna go this route. If we're talking about the up-to-date CGI added movies, added events in the movies, my order is going to be first. I'm going to go with New Hope because I think that was way better with the updated information. Then I'm going to go Empire Strikes Back, and then I'm going to go Rogue One, and then I will probably go Return of the Jedi, and then I'll do 1, 2, and 3 in that order. So, and I know Dexter has an issue because he thinks Rogue One was the best, and it's a great movie, but I still have to go with the originals. That I love, and originally it was always Empire Strikes Back was my favorite until they did the new add-on scenes, and then I like New Hope better than Empire Strikes Back. So that's my order.
Okay. All right. Calibus, what you got, man? What you got?
I'm with Mark. Except for Rogue One is not beating Jedi. I'm going 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Mandalorian. Then I throw Rogue One in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, well, one, you can do episodes 1, 2, and 3 after Rogue One. You could do those. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, my top 2 that I will put on while I'm cleaning, because I don't need to lock in and shut down the whole planet like Mark there.
If I'm going to put a movie on, if I'm going to put Star Wars on, I'm sitting down and I'm watching it. I'm turning the lights down.
The rest of us are just
Mark got the whole theater experience going.
He's like, no, y'all are doing it wrong.
Oh yeah, and then I can't watch it on. I can only watch it on a specific TV, and it has to be 4K.
You bougie with his too.
Yeah, and then I gotta have it.
I'm not watching it on my computer. What is wrong with you?
Please tell me you didn't get like that.
I'm not gonna sit in the living room and watch it.
He break out his cognac. He turned the lights down, give him his big recliner on an 80 inch.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's outstanding. Look, no sir, you live your best Star Wars life.
Oh yeah, right, and so then my neighbors have to hear it. If I'm watching it, my neighbors gotta watch it. They can't watch it. They can at least hear
gotta know. Yeah.
You're gonna hear
my damn.
My top one is actually gonna be the Star Wars Clone Wars animated shorts series.
Oh wow. Okay.
I really love it. I love that one. And then episode 3, because I like how I can watch the animated joints, and it because whenever I watched when episode 3 came out, I was like, well, then how the heck are they up here? Like, what's happening? How General Grievous? Why is he coughing? Like, none of those. I had all these questions in between episode 2 and 3, and I felt like for me, the animated series answered all those questions. Like, oh, Mace did that. Okay, that makes sense. you know, and all that. So it and a lot of the other back end stuff, like different things with Anakin, and it just seemed to answer a lot of questions for episode 3. So oftentimes I found myself watching, like, one day that the animated series, Clone Wars animated series, and then the next day or whatever, I'll watch episode 3. Just to, for a little bit of nostalgia there. But and sometimes I've put on the series to go to sleep on, and I was watching as I'm going to sleep, and it's like, dreamland. Brings me peace. So I like it. Those are my top 2. All right, cool. So now across the spectrum, your favorite medium, be it a game, a comic, whatever, because there's been a lot of Star Wars stuff put out, and some stuff that's been put out, I'm surprised they gave an IP license to, especially when it came to some of them games. I'm like, wow, that's that was a thing that happened. So look, I'll start us off with a couple of games. So I didn't play a whole lot of Star Wars games, but ones I did really try to get into a lot. There was a RTS, a real-time strategy Star Wars game, mostly space combat. I can't remember what it was called though, but it allowed you to, it was almost like Homeworld or something like that, where you basically, you had your fleets, your Star Destroyers, or you played it as the Empire or the Rebellion. And I'm gonna have to look it up and see. But that was one of my favorite games. And it was funny too, because I never actually bought it. I only ever played the demo from a PC magazine disc.
I remember those. I remember those.
Yo, I used to play the mess out of that demo. And it was only like maybe like 3 hours or a few missions or something like that. But I was like 16, 17, didn't have any money, but I had just enough to buy a PC gamer mag. they had that disc with them demos on it.
Remember when they came out with that troops thing about the stormtroopers going with like the bad boys, and they were called instead of cops, it was called troopers. That's where I discovered that one. Okay. Yeah, it was like a short. It's all over the internet, but that, man, you just brought me back with that one. That PC game thing. You would run out and get one because, like you said, you would get those sample demos.
Yeah,
yeah.
Play up to a certain level, and then it was
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't afford the actual game. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this demo to the disc break.
Yep.
Oh man, and then one other thing is series I'll bring up that I didn't give a chance at first, but the Clone Wars animated series, the 3D animated series. I didn't give that a chance for the longest time because I was like, meh, I don't care. And then people talked about me real bad. And it was like, you can't call yourself a Star Wars fan if you're not going to give this show a chance, Vince. Like, and I was like, I never said I was a diehard fan. I just said I liked it. I like Star Trek more anyway. Okay. Yeah, but it wouldn't let me live it down. So I wound up watching it, and then I binge watched it over the course of a couple of weeks. And I was just hooked. I was locked in. I was, oh my God, so good. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. Whichever one y'all want to go next. Favorite Star Wars joint across any medium.
Well,
go ahead, because I'm trying to think.
I still play Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO. I've been rocking MMO. That since it dropped. And I still play it. I beat all the storylines on every Empire and on whatchamacallit. I would just come home and for 8 hours I would just play that game straight. And then, like you, Clone Wars, everybody. Oh, I saw Solo and I saw Darth Maul. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, and they're like, you didn't see Clone Wars? I'm like, I'm not watching no cartoon. You need to go watch Clone Wars. So I did, and there was Ahsoka. I can't stand Ahsoka. I literally, I thought it made no sense. I thought it was stupid, and I fell in love with that character. Her story arc grows so great. And then I started feeling for the clones because they got treated so badly that I couldn't stand it. I'm like, yeah, come on, y'all gotta, so those are the two that had the most feeling for me. The Clone Wars, where I get to see Ahsoka grow up and grow, and then they gave us that last season.
Yeah.
And I was really, into it, and the clones and Rex and how she left her sabers and they buried all those troopers in honor. And man, I loved it. I thought that was great. But I still play Star Wars: The Old Republic. Any chance that, especially if someone here in this house gets upset at me, I can come in my room, shut my door, and I'm back there and I'm good. You know what I mean? And I will play for a couple of hours and just let the day take me.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that one. They're supposedly remaking it.
Yeah,
we're not remaking it, but I guess remaking it.
No. You're talking about Knights of the Old Republic with Revan.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be remaking it,
right?
No, I'm talking about the live MMO that's going on right
now.
The
MMO. Okay. Yeah.
So I remember, and what I used to love to play when PS1 first came out with the 6 movies on disc, where you can play all the movies on one game. So you do every single mission, every single thing where you can fly the Millennium Falcon, like they did in the what is it? And that would have been 6. So where you had to destroy the Death Star, you can fly it through.
I remember that.
Yeah, so you can do every mission. You can even do where Luke is on a light speed bike and Leia gets dropped off. You got to run around and blow up the stuff. So that was one game I used to love to play, and I played that probably till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just playing that game. So that was one that I loved. Series wise, every single one. You guys talk about the Clone Wars. I remember going to the movies when that cartoon first came out, where they introduced Ahsoka because they gave her to Anakin as his first Padawan. And I thought the story was interesting because it was, you had Padme, who was trying to save, Jabba the Hutt's was his son or something that was taken by the little blob. He got sick and they had to get him back so they can return him to Jabba the Hutt. So I enjoyed that movie, and the TV shows when it first started, they were 10-minute episodes on Cartoon Network, and I would sit there every week waiting for that 10 minutes, and then they finally came out with it all on one disc. So I have the disc, and then I started watching the show when it was 30 minutes long. So that was what I thoroughly enjoyed about that, and seeing the characters grow up. I especially love the Asajj Ventress. I wish she wasn't killed off because I would love to see a story with her in it because she had a very good backstory.
They dropped that today, right?
Which one?
Her new show. Her and Cad Bane. They dropped it on Disney Plus today.
Okay. Really? No, I didn't see that yet.
I didn't know they was getting a show.
Today. It came out today. See, I had to go to work, so I missed it. But her and Cad Bane got their own story because we got her back in the Bad Batch. She comes out of the shadows again. And I say this as one of those people. I hate when they do that. A character gets so popular, they kill them, and then they got to bring them back somehow. But
that's what I hated about Darth Maul too. Like, he died in the first movie. I hate that. Oh, he's cut in half and he's walking around as a spider throughout the rest of the show. And
the anger of the Force, the dark side kept him alive. Sir.
Yeah. See, now that was the theory, right? Because Reva gets shafted, and because of her hatred and whatever else that keeps her alive. Okay. But I want to see Ventress. I liked her character as she came back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now she's got a yellow lightsaber, which means she's a guardian of the Force. Right? So I really wanted to see that. And tonight before I go to bed, I'm going to watch her and Cad Bane get down. I need to see that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, you guys are, and God, Mark, you took me way back when that was flashing in my mind. I remember that. Don't forget there was that one with Kyle Katarn where you had to steal the Death Star plans. It was kind of like Doom.
Yes.
And you were in the sewer. It was like Doom, man. And you got to that one point. I couldn't get out of something, and then my boys came over, and we wrecked that game, man. We were there. But anytime a Star Wars game would drop, we were there to do that. Unlike the games today, Jedi Survivor and the part 2 to Jedi Survivor, I can get to a certain point and then I can't go no further. My wife, on the other hand, will sit there all damn day, jump, crawl, spider crawl, jump over here. I can't stand games like that.
Yeah.
She beat it and then went back and found all the stuff she didn't unlock a second time for the first game.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I
that
can't.
reminds me of what was that one where you can rewind time?
Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia. And I remember I played that game, and because you got to jump, you got to freeze things so you can jump on something else while you're freezing, and then you got to flip to get to a wall. And if you mess up, you can just rewind and go back so you didn't die. It was cool, but the more you played, the more complicated the game became. And after a while, I just got tired of doing it. I always still love playing, what's her name? Tomb Raider. I love that game. But, when this level starts, it rewinds so you can see exactly every place you're going to have to go, which is the same way that Prince of Persia does. It rewinds so you can see every place you're going to have to jump. And she never walks on the ground. So you got to remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to crawl over here, and I got to crawl on this thing, and I got to do this over here. So, yeah, that just reminds me of that.
That's a great segue about the one game having something like the other into the impact Star Wars had with cinema and everything, because it was a huge franchise, and so many other movies have borrowed things from Star Wars, and I'm talking like the original trilogy. What's some of the most prominent things that you guys can think of that you've seen in other movies, good, bad, or indifferent, that they took from the IP of Star Wars and tried to integrate it or either integrate it into the film or a nod to Star Wars because either the writers or the directors, or maybe it was an Easter egg or something like that referenced something from Star Wars?
I'll go with one simple one. Ice Pirates was
look.
That's my movie.
Let me get on Google real quick.
Yeah.
Ice Pirates.
That
is my movie.
Okay.
So
1984, 2 years after I was born, by the way.
Okay, so yeah, you should have seen it 20 times by now. But yeah, that movie. What would you say? The ships, the fighting in the space, the robots, all of that was stolen from Star Wars. So that was an homage to the movie right there, even though they said they didn't. Or even if you want to go one that is a direct homage to the movie, would be it was on today's Spaceballs with everybody. Lord Helmet. So I love Lord Helmet. And the Schwartz, because you couldn't say the Force, so the Schwartz and their ring. So that was fun to watch.
Well, Dune.
Well, you can't say Dune because Dune came out first.
Look, that I
You're
crossed my
talking
mind.
about-
I was like, that came out first, though, right? Dune.
Dune came out 20 years written prior to Star Wars.
written.
But then, George Lucas said he stole the idea from Dune. So,
well, you still even if you do that, you still got those influences, because you remember Star Wars, with everything that it did, it had to create the special effects and everything else to go with all that other stuff.
True.
Now, now the whole thing of spice and all this other stuff, which I'm still trying, as this drug, and everybody's carrying around this powdery material in vials or in chests, and the spice and all this other stuff. I don't know. I never really kind of got into that, but after watching Dune, and I kind of wish at the time that I was, I guess, mature enough to really want to, you know what I mean? Because now I can't enjoy Dune, the older Dune, because I've seen the new Dune, and I'm like, well, I'm going with this because it's, you know what I mean? When you go back, it's like watching TOS Star Trek, and somebody says, go watch Star Trek, and you go watch the first one, you're like, is that a plastic rock? What is that over there? Oh, hell no. You know what I mean? You can't do it, But the whole movie industry has been just ever since 1977, when he came out with what he did. All movies are influenced by Star Wars in some way, shape, or form, or even effect cuts. You know what I mean? Star Wars, when I saw it, made me want to be a film director. So I went to film school. And then when my hopes were crushed, I started to become a writer. So now I'm a writer. And now I'm back doing my own stuff. And I don't want to play in George Lucas' sandbox. That's his stuff. That's his, well, it was his stuff. It belongs to the mouse now, and the mouse don't play. So I need my own sandbox. Now, don't get me wrong. I will always love The Mandalorian for what it's done, because it got me back into Star Wars. It made me a fan again. I mean, everything I owe is due to the fact that they gave me something that I was like, oh, wow, this is great. It didn't depend on lightsabers. It didn't depend on the Force. It was a man, a gun, and a baby. You know what I mean? And I fell in love with it. And then, of course, they gave us a live action Ahsoka. I love watching Rosario work. She's a fantastic actress or actor, however you want to call her. I still kind of wish that they would have gave Ashley. For some reason, I wanted to see that, versus always hearing that. Because when I see Ahsoka, I hear her voice, sort of like Kevin Conroy with Batman. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the influences are always there. I mean, good or bad, they're always there. And let's not talk about how the foreign guys ripped them off. And was it Battle Beyond the Stars? Yeah. Or it was right. The one where the guy, the John Boy from the Waltons is, he's getting all these space pirates together and all this other stuff. And it's all relative. You know what I mean?
So would you guys classify Star Wars as a space opera?
Oh, definitely.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think for me that it definitely impacted, or at least created, my love of space operas, because before then, and I didn't even learn the term space opera until many years later, but definitely the grand kind of space adventure, where Star Trek was more focused. I mean, it seemed it was a space adventure, but it didn't seem to have as grand of a thing, where, it's basically military in space, Yeah. We're peacekeeping scientists, but we got weapons and we don't want to use them. Don't make us use them, Star Wars was definitely more that Wild West of space, and even though I was introduced to sci-fi through the original series, I think Star Wars kind of enhanced. And for a little while, I was honestly confused when I first started watching Star Wars because my child brain couldn't distinguish. I'm like, spaceships in space, and this one is Star Trek and the other is Star Wars. I was confused for a little bit, but I was a silly child. It's not my fault, okay? It's not my fault,
So now that you said that, because I remember going to the movies to see Star Wars. I had no idea what it was. And at that point, I'd never seen Star Trek. So this was my first introduction to this type of cinema. So we sat there, me, my cousin, and a friend. We were at the theaters, and the movie starts. And I absolutely fell in love with that movie. I think I was 6 years old at the time, and I thought this was the greatest thing I ever saw. As I got older, just watching TV, nothing else on, I put on Star Trek. And I know I've seen every episode, but I watched it religiously every day because it was on every day. So it was something that I could look at. And I enjoyed Star Trek for what it was at the time. The first movie I didn't like, the Star Trek, the motion picture. I was not a fan of that at all, and I couldn't figure why that was so boring for me. But once 2 came out, I love Star Trek for those movies. I just can't deal with the first one. Yeah, I'll watch it now because I have an appreciation for it, but it is nowhere near as good as the other ones because I love the story behind the other ones more so than I like the story behind the first one. And I think they're fantastic. Star Trek 2 was very good. 4 was always my favorite. But I think
6 is the best, sir. Whatever.
6.
6 is the best.
Look, they had that saying.
Whatever.
Even Star Trek.
We'll save that argument for Star Trek Day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, 4 is my favorite. Okay.
I love 2. I will always be a fan of 2 because we got Khan back, and Space Seed is my favorite TOS episode. That and Mirror. But the saga of it all, you know what I mean? But like you, Mark, me and my dad are in the theater. I'm like, great special effects, very colorful, but oh God, boring. I was just bored. And then later, of course, you get all the information about V'ger and the Borg and and you're like, oh, okay. Still don't want to watch it, but
no.
I own it.
Oh yeah,
on a couple of different formats. I own it. Never watch it.
Yeah, because I was going to say we have it on VHS.
Right.
We have it as a DVD. Then we have it on Blu-ray.
And
I got it on 4K. So, and
you missed a laser disc, sir, so you don't have them all.
I don't have Laserdisc. Yeah, you're right. I have a really bad copy on. What is it? I think I DVR'd it one time. So
nice.
With commercials.
Right?
yeah, full experience. That way you be like, bathroom break. Okay, we good. I'm not missing anything.
So no. I think that was the only one I do not like besides 5. And I know people put 5 down, and I've had that discussion. Some people think it was William Shatner. I don't think it's William Shatner's fault that movie sucked. I think it was just bad writing. It was a horrible written movie, and he did the best he could with what he was given. I don't think it's his fault at all, but the story was just not good. That's the only thing I can say. And you went from 4, which was a really good movie, and you can skip 5 and go to 6, which is a good movie as well. And I think that was a great ending to their story.
Yeah.
Mark,
before you go in,
I feel your pain. Share it with me. That is as bad as come at me with all your money.
Oh God, yeah. Come at me, bro. Come on.
Who in their right mind thought this was going to be something that the fans were going to be like, hell yeah, give us more of this. Oh my God.
Look, so we touched on it a little bit. So like the last 5 minutes we got here, I kind of want to talk about like the impact again for Star Wars in our life? We all talked about it a little bit, but you know, how did it impact your love of either the IP or related IPs or sci-fi in general, or what else did it? Because everyone you talk to people about Star Wars, everyone's got something different out of it, right? It reaches across all spans, across all ages, across time itself, and it's great when an idea that someone has can have that long-reaching impact. It'll never be forgotten, right? So
Yeah.
individually, we'll start with Calvis. How Star Wars impacted your life?
Um, I didn't really have a hold on here. I didn't have. I had my dad's Star Trek. I wandered into his room. He's sitting there watching TV, and I started asking him 50 questions. Now, this is the 70s, mind you. You need to sit down, be quiet, and watch this. And then we'll talk about it afterwards. But right now, I'm sitting in my room, right? I'm sitting in my room, and I see this Star Wars, and I'm seeing the ship, and I'm losing my mind. It made me want to direct. I want to do that. I want to see that. I want to do that. But when, I go to film and TV at TCC, and the guy goes, "You're going to make a great cameraman." What? No, I want to direct because it doesn't work that way. You got to work your way up. You got to know the mechanics of doing. And I'm like, it does work that way. That's why you go to school to learn to do this, and it shattered my dreams, and I didn't follow it. Your family, you need to get a real job. You're never gonna find anything doing this. Get a real skill. So I started writing. But Star Wars has always been a part of whatever I've done, 6 years ago, I answer an ad for lightsaber training. It's my birthday. I'm going to take this course. And now I'm 9 to 10 deep in lightsabers. I wanted to be Han Solo. I wanted to fly the Millennium Falcon. Now I'm lightsabers. Every time I turn around, I built a lightsaber, about 2-3 months ago. Got another one. Okay, so I want to go to Disney and build one just so I can hear Yoda tell me about the Force. It's ingrained in our culture. We've been around long enough to see this for the 50 years that it's been there. You know what I mean? And then, of course, the next generation is coming in, and I hear the same thing. Oh, Star Wars fans are the most toxic. I know. I go, no. Star Trek fans are the most toxic. I can tell you, I've been there in an elevator with Star Trek fans. The Klingons, the TOS Klingons, didn't like the Imperial Klingons after they came together. The Imperial Klingons don't like certain Imperial Klingons. And it was just crazy. Crazy, the toxicity. So I come back over here, and I'm like, this is great. And then, of course, we get these shows. And then, of course, you get all this outspokenness. And everybody has a voice because we have the internet. And if you don't like certain things, you're a homophobe, or you don't like strong women, or you perhaps don't understand the story. And I go, perhaps you don't understand the story because when I watch something or I write something, I don't need to go back to Wikipedia to change it to fit my narrative. It's not rocket science. Mm-hmm. They've taken our beloved characters and they've made them deadbeat dads. They made them Jedis that gave up hope. And this was Luke Skywalker. This is the guy that couldn't kill his father. He had to turn him back to the good side. But now he's sucking on teats and throwing lightsabers over his. Come on, man. It's ingrained in our stuff. But the way that IP is being handled now is just poorly done. It's just poorly done. There's no other way to say it. It's just poorly done. And to get back on track, you need to stop naming things Andor and stuff like that and just call it Rebellion and move on. Mon Mothma is still that character for me. I don't care that I don't like Andor, but I will watch it because you got somebody in there that intrigued me. That woman intrigued me out of all the characters there. And I like Luther, but Mon Mothma is the one I want to see. You know? So you got a fan who doesn't really care for your show, but he's going to watch it because he likes this character. You got a hit. Well, I mean, I don't know ratings wise, but I'm watching for that one character. And if you can get everybody to watch for one character, to me, you got a hit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mark, what about you, man?
All right. So I have to say, I've gotten quite a few friends based on the fact of my love for Star Wars. I met Jedi Joe and Big L through Star Wars, and in fact through Calibus through Star Wars. So that was a huge thing for me. So it's been in my life, like I said, since I was 6 years old. Going to the movies and watching it has been a big thrill for me. I remember being in the second grade, like I said once before, after seeing The Empire Strikes Back. If you didn't see it before I saw it, I'm spoiling this movie for you. Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. I told everybody at school. I came back day one, first class. Have you seen this movie yet? You're never going to believe this, but Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Told everybody. Walking around school, I'm telling everybody.
Absolute worst. I'm surprised you didn't get fault.
Yeah, and I know people had because now you know, right? And that was a big thing. But, when I first saw Darth Vader on the screen, there was nobody like him ever to exist until this movie. And I thought he was an amazing character. Harry Potter, they tried to do it with Voldemort, and he fell so short to being Darth Vader. But that was their Darth Vader for that storyline. And you can see it in other stuff too, where they try to have a character that they want to have the same impact as Darth Vader. And there's nobody that has come close to being what Darth Vader and his influence in pop culture, when you think about that person walking on stage and then you hear that voice in the breathing, because that's what, that sticks in your mind when you listen to him breathe. And then he starts talking with, James Earl Jones. He made that character where that's who you wanted. If you didn't want to be him, you didn't want to make him mad at you because you were afraid he's going to force choke you. He doesn't even have to be in the same zip code as you, because he just saw you on screen and killed you. So, that's what I thought about that, and I still love that. Playing some of the games, when you get to play as Darth Vader and you get to do those things. And I'm like, I love that. So, this is something that I've grown up with. I still watch. I'm watching Andor now. It's not my favorite show, but, we're muddling through. It's quite, I'm just going to say it is confusing. I watched the first 3 episodes last week. Started watching 4. They start off with 4 with stuff that they didn't show in 3 or 1, 2, or 3. I don't know where the hell that stuff came from. I thought I missed something because I went to sleep while watching 1, 2, and 3. But I'm not going to rewind it because it's over. I missed it. I'm done. So I just slept through whatever I missed. What is it? The Acolytes. I did watch that. Just because it was something that, I wanted to see it. Whoever wrote that never watched Star Wars, never read a book. They just came up with their own idea, and you don't know timeline when it comes to, hey, this person can't be in this because you said this was 100 years in the past. He wouldn't have existed at that time. So you got to think about what you're writing prior to writing that, and that's what I got a little bit upset about. But I hope we get some really good Star Wars in the future. Let's start off with something fresh. There's thousands of years. You don't have to pick anything around Luke, Leia, and I was disappointed that they killed all my heroes up in the what is it, the 8th movie. Everybody that I love, they just killed in 2 seconds. That was quite disappointing to me. But other than that, I'm still a fan. I always have hope beyond hope that something good is going to come out soon.
Yeah. All right. That's nice. That's nice. I'll keep mine short. Honestly, it had a big impact on me. Lots of sci-fi related stuff from it. You mentioned Darth Vader, and I'm usually a heroes guy. I'm not in the camp of the villains, but Darth Vader is a villain I can get down with for whatever reason. That commanding presence. If you don't want to be a villain, you want that same kind of commanding presence as Vader. You walk into a room, everyone's like, "Hey, how can we help you, sir? We don't want to offend you." So, yeah, the Star Wars is absolutely great. I do hope, like everyone else, that we get better and better content. I'm still holding out hope for a Old Republic series, like a true Old Republic series, not that weird thing we got with Acolyte. I was like, oh, okay, it's set like, oh wait, no, they're doing the same thing. It's not. Never mind. So, once I can, we get some old Dark Lords out there and armies of Sith and Jedi and all the massive epic I'll save all that for next year, May the 4th. That'll be a whole episode of me complaining. But I think everyone watching, everyone, we love Star Wars. We love what it's brought to entertainment, popular culture, pick your industry or whatever. Star Wars has permeated everything, whether we like it or not. Everyone knows what a lightsaber is, whether you want to or not. Heck, it's made its way into anime too. You is very distinct. You're never not going to be able to hear a lightsaber. I don't care what it is. So yeah. So we definitely appreciate everyone joining us tonight as we celebrate May the 4th and just be a little bit nostalgic tonight, talking about all the things that we love about the franchise, how it's impacted us, film, entertainment, games, books and comic books, and everything in between. Great costumes, great cosplay. I hope to do a really good Old Republic Jedi soon, maybe this Halloween. We'll see. I don't know. I need a deep hood. So anyone can help me out with finding a very deep hood, and we're in business. We're in business. All right. Well, as always, we have been the Blerds, Marky Mark, Calibus, and I am Paladin, aka Arc Knight, and aka some other names that we won't get into right now. We appreciate y'all, and we will see you probably in 2 weeks. Probably 2 weeks. All right. Signing off. Y'all have a great night.